Do we need to turn that one off, do you think?
Say what?
The far light? Do we need to turn that off?
Yeah, Christine, can you turn off this light? Or yeah, there you go.
Oh, I didn't even look at you. He knew.
Look at you. Actually, I'm paranoid, so I'm just gonna double check.
No, you're good. You're good. I know those.
Yeah, that's the problem with being like in front of the camera and behind.
Yeah.
You have a strong relationship with both. You choose the mediums that you want to excel in.
Yes.
But as an artist, none of those mediums define who you are. Dude, I record in the hopes that this is fine.
I think it should be fine.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I always do that.
Sometimes you gotta pray and just like hope for the best.
Yeah, and then if it doesn't, we gotta go to audio.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, so I actually had this idea. What if the podcast was photography only?
Like the Marilyn blonde.
Somewhat.
Yeah, but first.
So like what if it was like, okay, so when you're talking, right, it's just like different photos in the moment of you.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the other person as they're talking, but you only hire photographers on it and they're only shooting on silent mode. So you're only recording audio.
Right.
But you have to, in the cameras you can sync time.
Okay, yeah.
Like what time you took it.
Yeah.
It took the photo. So you would sync the time with the audio time.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Because you have all these different angles and like different like detailed shots in the moment.
I know, I would love to try that. But that's what I want to push boundaries like that though. That's what I'm saying. Like I want to do things that just people aren't doing and trying it and seeing it.
Yeah.
For visual purposes. I don't know. I feel like we're at this state of media that like anything goes as long as you could tell the story.
Yeah.
And we're a bit into the world of, well, this is what works. Like trends. I get it. And it's so funny to think that what is trend was like pioneered before. It was like a new thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's crazy because trends, they circle back over like a number of decades. And it's like a lot of the newer generation thinks that they came up with it. But it's like you look back at history and it's already existed.
It's like breaking. Breaking's the same way.
New moves and stuff.
You think that you created something new. I mean, I have a bunch of things that in my mind, I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely this original. I'll look back like they've been doing that shit for years, bro.
Yeah. Some people do things like that by accident too.
Where are you at with breaking right now?
Dude, so I've been breaking for 15 years, right? I haven't been practicing as much just because of the video side. But like that relationship with movement is always there. So I always think about like movement. I do more calisthenics now to supplement breaking. Yeah, I haven't been able to practice.
That's even in the gym, kid.
Dude, I've been working.
You look bad. That's why I'm wearing a jacket.
No, dude, I got oversized shirt here to make myself look bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta push my bicep up when I'm with my
knees, bro. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, I got decent chest. You know what I mean? Wow, there's laughter in the. No, I'm just kidding. Applause. It's okay.
What did you say?
Have you been able to balance that?
Breaking with everything else?
No. Working out and breaking.
No, it's all working out right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's all working out and it's all calisthenics. So the calisthenics mentally was supposed to be like, if I do calisthenics, I'll have the strength to do breaking. And when I do breaking, it helps. And at one point I was only doing lifting. So my joints were getting like really bad when I was breaking.
But when you say lifting, what do you mean with lifting?
Like weights and stuff. Like
no,
bench press.
Okay. So like traditional gym lifting or like power lifting?
I was doing progressive overload.
But I don't know what that means.
Yeah, so I was like every time I went to the gym, I was like, I need to get stronger. So I would try to either go up in number of reps or I would go up in like the weight that I'm pushing.
Okay.
And I would like track it on my phone. So every time I work out, I have like record of what I did last time. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it was powerlifting because it's more than just bench, deadlift, and squat. But
wait, did you do this in place of breaking? Which is fine if you did.
No, it just naturally happened where it was more manageable. Because for me, breaking, it's hard for me to do by myself. And I've tried doing it by myself at the gym, and it's just like the vibe is different.
Yeah, and filmmaking makes you a kind of a nerd where you're like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Dude, 100%. It's like, I just want to laugh. And then people are around sometimes, you're like, oh, I can't share my ideas.
I know, man. That's interesting.
Dude, where are you at with breaking?
I have such like a love-hate relationship with hip-hop.
Right.
And not like I hate you. So it's more like I hate you because I love you. You know?
I know those.
It's one of those, it's like the culture is essentially what raised me. So I kind of align my thought process in what I feel hip hop has always taught me.
Right.
But I think where the issue comes in for me is that like, it's like one of those, like I can't be around it because I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I know those. Yeah. Cause when you do it, it kind of like sweeps you away. It makes you want to forget about everything else and just do that.
But it's also the essence of like who you are.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
You can't really take the dance out of the person, like, ever.
No, I mean, dance is my first art form. Okay, martial arts would be my first, but I don't know how much I can say I thought as an artist then. I mean, dance is essentially what taught me how to be, have original thought.
Right.
Or this is how it's done. How would you do it? Or my body moves a certain way in compared to your body. We were just going to think differently.
Yeah.
To culture and what is your environment, like the people that are around you. So like for example, Yancey's from Queens, from Long Island.
Right.
Yeah. So drastically, just because of that community, it's two different approaches of what dance is, which I love that because that's language.
Exactly.
And I don't know how much I feel that in all art cultures.
Right.
Bodhi, keep it down, bud. I don't know how much I feel that in what we do at times on a really level.
Right.
And maybe that's probably not correct to say.
Right.
Because I'm also just kind of stepping more into this lane, but I definitely feel it like completely where, okay, for myself, I haven't transferred dancer Brendan into filmmaking completely.
So you would identify more as a filmmaker versus a dancer now? Or like, would you just be like, I'm not a dancer anymore, I'm like filmmaker Brendan?
Bro, this is my struggle all through my life. I'll go on my profile on Instagram and change who I am.
Oh yeah?
Every week. It'd be like, director, no, artist, dancer first. I'll always change it.
Yeah.
But that's in part one, my ADD.
Right.
The other one is I think what you realize is that as an artist, you choose the mediums that you want to excel in.
Yes.
But as an artist, none of those mediums define who you are.
Right. I think they all do though, right? They all define.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So if you look at like the Renaissance like times, like you know certain artists because of the work that they've done. But if you study what they did,
right,
dude, they were musicians, they were poets, they were philosophers, they were paint artists, they were everything.
Right.
But because they were everything, whatever they put their work into became memorable, classic, iconic pieces.
That's why I feel like I could never transition from like one thing to another in terms of what I identify as, because like everything that I've done has come together to shape who I am now. You know what I mean? Like I had somebody ask me recently, like, oh, like, where are you at with dance now? And me knowingly, I'm like, I haven't braked in a while, but like I'm always going to have a part of myself that identifies as a b-boy, and me as a b-boy is always going to have some type of influence on how I approach every single thing I do in life, like how I approach video, how I approach like even social interactions, like how I like body language, all that stuff.
Let me ask you, when I edit, I edit like I'm dancing.
Me too.
I never like, I actually have to start with the song most of the time.
I always start with the song. Right. Yeah, always. Dude, do you ever like you're editing and then you start dancing because of the music and stuff?
That's why I have a stand-up desk.
Oh, that's so sick.
Actually, in this studio, we built it for the concept that like when you have an ADD moment, like I can just go get down for a second.
Yeah, and then do you carry that like get down into your work after?
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like the process of creativity is different for everybody.
Right.
So I might be working on a film or I might be writing something.
Yeah.
But I might have been writing it off of like a moment that I just had in dancing.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
It's like inspiration from one thing and bringing it in.
Right.
Because I feel like if it weren't for dance, I wouldn't be at where I'm at with video, because certain things like flow, pacing, all those things, I wouldn't have understood if it weren't for the dance aspect. Like, dude, speed ramps and like just like comparing that to movement and like moving speeds and stuff like that. Like I didn't understand that type of pacing in breaking until I saw myself use it in video. And then now I'm like, wow, like that's crazy. Yeah.
Damn. What's the first video that like got you? Like that you saw?
Yeah.
Was it anything to do with breaking or anything else?
Like the first video that like really inspired me.
That was like, I want to make videos. What was that for?
I feel like it had to have been a Sam Colder video.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically which one, but I remember.
So it didn't actually happen in the culture then for you, like as far as breaking?
No.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I've always wanted to like create video stuff of myself breaking, but it wasn't that inspired me to actually go into video. Like I've always been like, I want to do video and take it of myself, and so I learned how to use a camera and stuff. But it was never like, I need to do video now. Like it was not until I stopped breaking as much where I was like, I'm picking up a camera, I'm like creating stuff.
So you never like documented yourself when you were coming up and all that?
With it breaking?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I know. I have like some footage of me like practicing, some footage of me just like battling, but nothing of me on the come up.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
This is how I look at the art form of creative media and filmmaking. It is hip hop.
Yeah.
Because when you think about some of the greats, they are rebels. They had no budgets.
Yeah.
They had no studio. Oh, you got it, bud? That's okay. They had no budgets.
Right.
They had people backing them, and they just trailblazed their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the essence of who we are as b-boys, which is I'm going to create something out of nothing, right? But also culturally, I've always looked at breaking culture as like skate culture in a parallel world, which is you document yourself, you watch yourself, and then you progress. But then you have a bunch of footage, and you're like, well, let me put a cool clip together.
Yeah.
So I think while it's cultural, I also think that it's a style of filmmaking itself.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. There's definitely a lot of carryover from one to the other. I was talking to another friend, and there was this like moment where I was like, music is to dance. Like, what was it? It was movement is to dance. Like, no, what was it?
Music really something really important to say.
It was really good. Yeah, it was like music is to dance, like movement is to video. That's how I approach it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're doing is motion pictures.
Right.
So we're telling a story through pictures, but it's in motion, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, if I can like trace back how everything pieces together in my head, like from the beginning of the art form.
Yeah, dude, where did you start with like dance? You know, like how did you initially get into it?
Dance or film?
Like dance first and then film.
All right. This is funny. I'll tell you a little story. So I was talking to one of tie-dye's students.
Okay.
And he was telling me this story. He was in the park, and then he had just got jumped or something like that. And then he felt, he saw tie-dyes come by, and tie-dyes comes by, and he's like, I felt it in my spirit, God telling me that I needed to teach you this dance. And then he was like, and then ever since then he learned. And he's like, oh, what about you, Shade? How'd you get into this? I was like, I watched a Britney Spears music video, and
Was it toxic?
no, that was You Drive Me Crazy. It was that one. You have to stop laughing at me, bro. Yeah, it was a Britney Spears music video, and I saw a girl do like a hand pose, and I was like, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's how you started.
Yeah, because I'm from the suburbs,
Right.
so I'm not from the boroughs of New York.
Right.
So for me to experience it like anyone else would be on media. Yeah, so I saw it in music videos. So like my first dancers that I saw was like Remind Crumbs and like Christina Aguilera music videos.
Wow.
Britney Spears stuff. I mean, I wasn't getting like raw street culture until later on in the game. Right. Everything was all television.
Yeah.
That's how I got into it. So but what I find fascinating is for me, if I saw it on TV, I went into the dance direction, not the film direction.
Okay.
Right. And it wasn't until Rebel Lords of the Floor 2001 or 2002 when I saw that trailer. Have you ever seen that trailer?
I don't think so.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Tell me you're kidding.
2004 you said?
We're watching it right now.
You said 2004?
No, 2001.
2001.
This is the edit that changed my life.
Dude, I was 6 years old.
We're watching this right now.
I don't think I knew what YouTube was back then.
Oh, hold on. Red Bull
Lords of the Floor?
Lords of the
2000. You watched it many times. It's right.
Oh, dude, this is one of my biggest inspirations of editing in general.
Is this how you got into... That's 2002.
Bro, this is how... Okay, so you have to understand, for me, I watched this video, and this was like the epitome of like of wanting to edit,
Right.
wanting to capture things, but also you gotta remember in this time frame, 2002, you didn't watch breaking like this.
Right.
This when you watch this is like superheroes.
Is this how you got into, like, inspired into film then?
Absolutely.
So it's 2001.
This is the video.
This is the video.
This is the video that made me go, I want to break and I want to learn how to do what that just did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've never seen this?
Dude, I've never seen this. Those zooms?
Yeah, one of the hosts is Joe Coy.
Oh, shoot.
Fujo Storm.
Dude, this is like the originals.
Esprit. Hey Mel.
Was this in New York?
No, this is Seattle.
Don't worry.
So we've never seen anything like this. You have to understand that for the culture.
Yeah. Ooh, dope.
Okay, man. Plus the stage. We've never seen this type of staging. It was huge.
Yeah. They'll do some like timeless moves too.
Oh, this is way weird.
And
Vivi.
yeah, read the back button, right?
I'll show you.
That's crazy.
This is what got me for the rest of my life.
Bro, they were doing that spin air flare back then?
Crazy. Let us go.
Wow. Man, you hit a push up.
Dude, this guy just did a blow up.
Yeah.
And he did the blow up. He made an edit blow up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Look at that. That's crazy, kid.
That made you want to get into filmmaking.
Yeah, that is it. But I think interestingly enough, what's up, buddy? How you doing? You gotta go sit with mommy though, okay?
Yeah, but that's like
Say what?
he's not like it now.
Oh, okay. Can you sit over there though? I know. I love you, bud. I love you so much. What was I saying? Oh, so essentially, what happened is like when I watched that video.
Yeah.
Right. So this guy does a inverted invert push, right?
Yeah.
Which is a blow up. But he made a blow up in an edit. That's what drives me nuts.
Right.
Like the music go, and it
Yeah,
makes you
you're
go,
right.
yeah. Right?
He brought emphasis to that moment.
And that's how I edit. I edit with the concept of making you go, oh.
Yeah, you know what?
That effect.
Your reel did that. Because your reel, I noticed like the flow on your reel was just like immaculate. The way that you pieced it together, the way that it like guided you to one moment to another, like you did that really well.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, so that style,
Yeah.
it's called a blow up kid style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, you can correct me on this one. I feel like that's a very Long Island thing,
Yeah.
which is you just go out and you just blow shit up. Yeah. You're not even doing foundation. You're not even thinking about you're rocking beats and then you're just blowing things up and you're just, oh. Yeah. So that concept of in dance has translated into
Video.
conceptually what video does. Right. And that's what I love. But that is the catalyst of that.
Yeah, that's cool. Because even in the beginning, you had like some establishing shots that kind of showed the venue and stuff. And like, I didn't know they were even doing that back then.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I think that, I mean, we're in a whole new era right now. What's possible with filmmaking, I think, in the realm of who we are. But this is where the love-hate gets in for me.
Yeah.
Which is that as an artist, like a person, I'm also I'm a photographer, I'm a pastor,
Right.
As a community leader, there's just so many stories I want to tell, and it doesn't just revolve within the concept of just dance,
Right.
But dance is for me the catalyst of art.
Yeah.
Right? You ever feel that? Whereas like you emphasize in an area, but you're like you just want to stretch your wings into other areas of.
I feel that way all the time, but I feel like that's why I have such a hard time excelling in one thing sometimes.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I want to do so many different things, and I feel like so many different things can help to accentuate that one thing. But I end up focusing on that one thing because I'm focusing on other things.
Well, okay. So is that something that you feel like you struggle with, or it's a fear?
I think it's more so like ADD.
Okay.
Like, for example, I was at the Red Bull event in Vancouver, and they had a DJ like workshop. And I was like, yo, sick, like, what if I learn how to DJ real quick?
Right.
Yeah, but then like that would take me away from the dance, and that would take me away from like video, because now I'm like working on something else. Also, like, I want to learn how to box. And like, I grew up doing martial arts, but I'm like, I want to revisit boxing.
Right.
But then now it's like, how do you split that time in a way that's like effective for me as a human being to reach like my optimal form?
I have a critique on that thought.
Yes.
So don't take offense to it, but it's a critique that I had to critique myself.
Mhm.
I don't think it's healthy to approach art as an athlete.
Really? How come?
I think that you can always train things.
Right.
But as B-boys, you're athletic artists.
Yes.
Now, there are people that are athletes
Right.
that are artistic,
Right.
but the best of the best are the artists
Yes.
that are athletic.
Yeah.
So we know left and right brain. We know how to train athletically,
Right.
as b-boys, but we also know how to like break away from that stuff and just do weird shit,
Right.
right? And that's the art side.
Right.
So as an artist, I think it's important to approach it as an artist,
Yeah.
backed with athleticism, but not forced through athleticism.
See, because that's something that I struggled with many times is that I go through dance as an artist and I'm like, I just want to let myself free. I want to express myself and I want to go through all these movements. But because I don't train it like an athlete, I don't track it and I don't like, I feel like I'm not building on myself. I'm not becoming better as I could be because I'm not looking at it as an athlete.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's think of it this way. Okay. You look at Flea versus Shake Kicks. However you say his name, right?
Yeah.
You remember that battle?
No.
Red Bull?
No. Oh, damn. Dude, I don't watch a lot of footage. Yeah.
We'll just watch it. Flea Rock versus Shake Kicks. Because it's important to talk about this.
We'll turn it down.
For our clients, Adobe Express is super fast. It's just allowing us to translate our
Skip that ad. We won't watch the whole day. Let's just watch. All right. I think this is it. All right, here we go. So this guy's got rockets in his feet, bro. Like doing things that is unimaginable. I'm not hating on either one of them.
Yeah.
But this is one of the greatest controversies, I think, in art. Right? Calls it, ooh, ill forward. Well, look at this hand placement. Look at that. Oh, ta.
Intricacies.
He's going, oh, okay. Look at that. Jeez.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Man is an accordion.
Boom, bop. That's a full work.
Wow.
Think.
Come on
Like
now.
that. Boop, bop. All right, cool. Let's see what happens. Cool. He says, I'm coming in. All right, I'll match your power.
Right.
That's sort of a blow.
He comes back. He says, thread. Guns out. Pow. Boom. Pow. Ka. Tika-raka-ta.
Yosemite Sam.
That moment was one of the most controversial moments.
Dude, tell me about it. Cause okay, let me know what your thoughts are. Cause I have my thoughts on that too.
No, you go first.
No, you go first. You go first.
No, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay. Dude, I didn't like Flea Rock there.
Okay.
Dude, like everybody was cheering, and I'm like, yo, why are they cheering? He didn't do anything.
Right.
Like, I think that there's like a style to what he did, but at the end of the day, I looked at that, I'm like, so what? I do think though that Shiga Kicks was very much like very textbook in his movements. Like he looks more trained as an athlete, but he was cleaner and he put down more content.
Right.
Whereas Flea Rock, I guess, played with the music a little more. It was stylish, but like he didn't do much.
Right. So this is where you got the lens,
Right.
for me, which is it's not a matter of who was better.
Right.
It's a matter of in that moment who was originally themselves.
Right.
And okay, let's take the word originality because I think that gets really messy, right? What we looked at is art versus athleticism, in my opinion, right?
Right.
And it's not to say that athleticism is bad because you could do some shit that's like, wow, that is humanly impossible, right? But at the same time, you can also pull out a gun, fake gun, and do something stylish off on beat that destroys,
Right.
right? Neither is better or worse, but it challenges. Now, if I'm always thinking like, I gotta do more air flares, I gotta work harder.
Right.
And you're not always thinking about, well, what's different?
Yeah.
What's a unique way? What's a different approach? Or what am I inspired by? I saw this movie, they had guns, right?
Right.
That's art.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's not a matter of like it or didn't like it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think now what we get into the discussion of is like, which told a story?
Do you feel like he told a story?
I mean, when you look at it, and you can see the references, absolutely.
See, I'm like very bad at seeing movement and being able to tell a story. Like I can watch a crumper or I can watch like a popper, like somebody who's tutting, and I will not know what they're doing. Dude, even when it's like breaking and like somebody's doing like they're trying to burn me and stuff, I'll look at them and I'll be like, what was that? And then like I'm not phased, but then like I don't know what you just did. Like they just spoke a different language. I'm like, I don't know what you did, so I'm just gonna do my thing.
So okay, so the reason maybe this is a good conversation. Let me check this camera before we go. The reason I think it's a good conversation, especially as b-boys, is that we can side on either direction. Right. Like we've had the moments where you do something athletic and you're blowing shit up and people are going nuts.
Yeah.
And then you have moments where you just did a slide and you look and people are like, "Oh, that's nasty."
Right.
What side are we on now? And the truth is, now you know both sides.
Right.
So that's why I say, as an artist, I think what's important is that you always look at I think it's important to look at your work in truth about who you are.
Right.
And in doing that, you can't push athletically.
Right.
You can't be like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? What am I trying to say? Because that's not how ideas work.
Right.
You don't think of ideas. You stumble upon ideas.
That's true.
Right?
I agree.
You learn that in a cipher. You learn that in sessions or practice with people.
Yeah.
So that in itself is not an athletic approach. You can athletically discipline yourself and show up every day.
Right.
That you can do.
Right.
You can show up every day and say, all right, inspiration, whatever you want to hit.
Right.
But you are not in charge of when inspiration hits. Therefore, that's art.
Right. Do you think that what Flea Rock did takes training?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you got to be in tune with what you have at your disposal. Right. I mean, even like the concept of,
Right.
like that is telling the story. Like, I don't care who you are, wipe my face. Does it take training to do that? No, but it takes observation.
Right.
Right. That's essentially acting. You have to be able to see, look, and then mimic.
Yeah.
Right. So again, that statement, to me, is thinking athletically about the dance.
Yeah, because I'm very much like,
you don't need to do anything then.
Right.
But that is how do you put it? For me, I would just use my own verbiage.
Right.
That's what makes the dance fresh.
Right.
Yeah, so how you do it.
Yeah.
But that's also how art, when you do it, is what makes it fresh. Is not what was the best.
Right.
What was the most powerful.
Right.
It was the subtlety at times that say things.
Yeah. I mean, there are moments where I'm like the subtleties go crazy and like the artistic stuff really shines. I don't know, man. Like what Flea Rock did there didn't resonate with me. But obviously, like, I think Shigeki's definitely needed more like flavor in what he was doing. I think his moves were crazy, but like I think he needed more flavor.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where like obviously, I think that wasn't his best round.
Who?
Sugar Kicks. I don't think it's his best round, but it just as a whole, you argue
Yeah.
it. You argue what did I just watch?
Yeah.
So for me, just to kind of backtrack,
Yeah.
it's not about what was right or wrong.
Right.
The fact that we're having this discussion, that is what's important.
Right.
Is we're challenging what is breaking
Yeah.
and challenging what is art, and that I think as an artist you should always be after.
Yeah.
Is challenging what is this? What are we doing?
Right.
Right. So you look at like the Casey Neistats of the day where, they're doing vlogging, and you look at it and you say with that face, they're just vlogging.
Yeah.
But this person is changing how we communicate as a world.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to know what was happening in New York today, and I just watched a Casey vlog about the flooding.
Right.
But that's a form of communication versus having to pay a $15 ticket to go to the movies and then find out, or go in the news and hear a reporter, right? We're changing how we're communicating to the world. So as much as I think that the art form in itself can be, yes, on cinema.
Right.
And that's why I think there's like IMAX these days. But I think a lot of what we do as creators, I guess you could say, is also pushing forward and challenging what that is.
What it is?
Going back to what we're saying, is like when you're like, oh, I want to try this, I want to try that. There's nothing wrong with it. You're just thinking of it as like, I got to be the best filmmaker, which means I got to train every day. And you're not wrong.
Right.
But you're also not fully right either.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm kind of like, it's not even that I want to train filmmaking every day. It's just when I do something else,
They're filmmakers.
yeah, this is time away from filmmaking.
But I'll challenge what you said earlier, how you view your art form is from dance.
Yeah, 100%.
So what's not to say that wouldn't happen from boxing? That wouldn't happen from any other art form.
Yeah.
Inspiration is inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, even when you listen to some of the greats of philosophy, they all talk about how they learn their thoughts of philosophy from music. You know?
Yeah.
Inspiration is just inspiration, and you can't limit what that is. You have to allow yourself to be open to it. And I think that part of the process creatively is to open yourself up to it. And that, one, is vulnerability, but two, not just opening yourself up to it as far as like, yeah, here it is, but like internally, what that is. Because if you want to speak a real true emotion and strike a chord, you got to know what that is for you first.
Yeah. Do you find yourself taking a lot of things from like different parts of your life? And like, do you find yourself like shifting focuses often so you could like, you know?
So I guess you would say there's a center point for sure, which is a frame.
Yeah.
That's my center point, which is this, right?
Right.
So sometimes it's a picture.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a movie, like a video. And sometimes it's the pictures that I can make on screen as in acting.
Right.
So I look at acting as like a flip book.
Right.
There's a picture and there's a picture and this picture, and then you're just kind of flipping through it, and then it makes motion pictures, right?
Mhm.
But the way I look at it is frame by frame.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, there's a picture of some guy looking here, and then there's a picture of him looking over here. Something just happened. It tells a story.
Right.
Here, and I'm here, and I look back with a different face.
Yeah.
That's something happened. I told a picture.
Right.
But that's my center point. My center point is, as long as it's on a frame here, that is where I can always relate it back to.
Right.
But I love dance, and I also love monologues.
Yeah.
And I guess you could say I love travel and nature.
Okay.
So there's various things that I love.
Yeah.
How that ends up on a screen,
Mhm.
on a frame,
Right.
that would be the challenge. But where I would say is where I find the delight in it is how I tell the story. Like,
Right.
what's the story there?
Right.
You know what I mean? I took a picture I posted the other day of my son in the chair
Okay.
over there, and he's watching Blue's Clues
Yeah.
on the other side.
Right.
And I just put up, I said, I didn't have this growing up.
Right.
And all it was, I don't think anyone got it, but essentially my son was sitting in the thinking chair
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
So it was Blue's Clues guy Josh.
Right.
But what was more epic is that Blue's Clues Josh is Filipino.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And my son is half Filipino.
Right, right.
So I have my do I have the photo? I probably have the photo. Let's look at it because we can. That's why we're here.
Dude, I definitely want to see this photo. It was on Instagram?
Well, I think I posted on Facebook, which I don't really do much on
Facebook?
Facebook. Yeah. I
Dude,
know.
who are you, bro?
Who uses Facebook?
That's like a different like stage in life.
There it is.
That's wild. Dude, you should have had him holding the iPad.
I don't know. Well, what's cool is like he loves the show for drawing purposes.
That's cool.
But I thought it was just epic in with the story that it tells.
Yeah.
We've never had this before.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I didn't have this growing up where I had someone that looks like me on screen. And that's not to bring up the whole politics or anything. I just realized it for myself. Like, oh shit, my son has that.
Yeah.
Where he can see himself. That changes completely for him.
Right.
What's possible for his future.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, like for me, I never realized this for myself. I never actually considered the possibility of success because I never saw myself up there.
Right.
Meaning, physically never saw myself.
Right.
Pat, you messed me up and messed up.
Where's the magnet, bro?
I don't know.
Yeah, find it.
Did it fall down?
Oh, it fell here. In the pocket.
That's pretty G.
Dude, that's a good pocket to have in.
Oh, just magnets though. Come on, DJ, get with it.
Come on, yeah.
So yeah, I've never had that growing up.
Right.
So I never actually saw a possibility
Yeah.
for like a concept of success. So when Ki Hu Kwan won his Oscar,
Right.
for Everything Everywhere,
Yeah.
I cried like a baby, bro.
Yeah.
It hit me in a weird way that I didn't know, because you never see that.
Yeah. So that was encouraging for you to see.
Absolutely. Especially I had just gotten into acting like a year before.
Right.
It happened.
Yeah.
So it was just very like, oh shit, this is like a new era that we're in. Not just for Asian Americans, but for everyone. Like what's possible.
Yeah, that's so true. Because I think subconsciously growing up, I was very much like, I can't do this, I can't do that. Why? Because I don't see anybody who looks like me in it. Like for example, I was like, I can't be a travel videographer. Why not? Because look at the people who are successful doing it. Like none of them look like me.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm always like, the barrier to entry is always gonna be so tough because none of them look like me. Culturally, we might not relate. Like getting in with them might not be possible because we're just different.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's similar to that, right?
So, Ariana DeBose, she played Anita in West Side Story, Spielberg's West Side Story.
Okay.
And, you know, she's Spanish, so I have Spanish in me, but what triggered me into like really experiencing her work was that she's a dancer.
Nice.
Like I first saw her, I think like, so you think you can dance.
Right.
So that created like, oh shit, like we can do this.
Yeah.
You know, this is a different idea and this is a different feeling.
Right.
So now when we're taking conceptually like what we want to do as far as telling stories,
Right.
now for me, I'm pulling it from various directions. I'm pulling it from dance, from filmmaking.
Yeah.
As a photographer, I'm pulling it from acting.
Yeah.
From studying it. And I'm still a baby in this. I'm still learning this, right? But also as a creative director for many years. So now it's this, how do we mold this? And I don't look at it as like, oh, if I do too much of this and too much of this, I'm not going to focus here. Because for me, my focus is the frame.
Right.
That's like my, I guess you could say my addiction is. Yes. You ever have this where you experience a moment and you're not sure if it's real or if it happened in your head? Like you can watch somebody,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, that'd be a dope shot. Like,
Oh, I mean,
like that'd be a dope scene.
oh, that happens to me all the time.
Right.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
To you, it's normal. To everyone else, it's weird.
Yeah, dude. Literally, I'll be walking with my friends. I'll see something and I'll be like, that'd be such a sick shot. My friends will be like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You don't. Where are my glasses? I have these orange sunglasses that I walk around with.
Yeah.
And I do it as like a filter effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so I can see the world.
Yeah.
Just so I can look at something and have some sort of gloss over it. Right. So it creates like a frame.
Right.
If not, I'm seeing it like everybody else. But if I can have something over my eyes, create a filter.
Seem a little different.
Right. And it's a bit of addiction. Sometimes I don't know like what that blurred line is sometimes. Like, is this real or is this romanticism? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I'll have a thought and I'll be like, did I just make that up in my head?
Right, but don't you think the beauty in what we do is that we can see a moment and romanticize it and form it in a way that we can like show other people what it looks like to us?
Of course, because you're living in two frequencies. That's essentially what I think like art is.
Yeah.
Is allowing yourself to be in one realm and the other simultaneously. So like the creative process is your relationship with both.
Yeah.
I think what we do, I call it the blurred line, which is reality and romanticism. For example, like fiction.
Right.
If you think of fiction, it's not real, but something about it is so real.
Right.
But then you can watch something that's like reality TV, and you're like, dude, that's not
So fake.
at all what this is like.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. So you look at content from filmmaking and in general, even dance. Sometimes dance, you look at it and it just moves you. You're like, dude, that shit was so real to me.
Right.
I have to go home and think. And then you can watch other styles of dance and it could be as real as it is. And you're like, it just didn't move me.
Right.
That's the blurred line we're in, which is the relationship of those two worlds.
Right.
Reality and romanticism. And romanticism exists in another realm.
What do you think sets them apart though? Like, what do you think makes them different?
Rephrase the question.
Like, because romanticism to some people is reality.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And reality for some other people, like, for example, what one person romanticizes, I could look at and be like, but that is my reality.
Right.
But what is that blurred line? Like, what's the difference between those two?
Oh, that's the fun part. And for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, right? You ever see Don John?
No.
So Don John, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he talks about like essentially his porn addiction.
Right.
And he's in a relationship with Scarlett Johansson, and Scarlett Johansson, she loves Hollywood films.
Right.
But he compares the concept of women that love Hollywood films,
Right.
and men that love porn.
Right.
And how men think that sex is like porn and how women think of relationships like Hollywood.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you think of it that in that concept, this is how I interpret it. At least,
Right.
Which is that's reality. We do think of life as like a Hollywood film. We wish for that, right?
Right.
I would even go as far as to say is that like early Disney films have really changed how we look at relationships.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Music videos, when you listen to music, it changes how we're telling stories and telling people how they need to think.
Right.
Essentially.
Yes.
So that is romanticism that has become reality.
Yes.
And now our reality of what actually is happening, also we find it in our film. We find it in our projects. And that's the blurred line, is we have to be able to be on both ends of that spectrum.
Right.
Because if not, it's only going to be like a point blank, and that's not interesting.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think that there's like a way to differentiate per se. I think it's important to say that it's one and it's the same. It's the same coin, different sides.
You think it's kind of like being in the Matrix?
Matrix to me is like the concept of enlightenment, I guess.
Right. Do you think romanticism is enlightenment though in some ways?
No.
No? Because I feel like as artists, one of our jobs is to be able to take like details and really amplify them in ways that like make them impactful.
Okay, I feel like I have like 18,000 thoughts going on at once, but
Starting with
like,
one.
let me backtrack.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say like the conceptually like enlightenment is just a moment where you realize you're aware of awareness,
Right.
or conscious of being conscious.
Right.
You're thinking, and then you're thinking about the thought, and you're like, oh shit, I'm thinking about my thought.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm not in my thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at it. And of course, it's probably a more beautiful way to explain it,
Right.
and a more beautiful way to experience that.
Right.
That's how I would say what that is. Now, in the idea of romanticism, I'm making it up and I'm thinking about it. I'm romanticizing about a concept, an idea.
Right.
Therefore, if I romanticize about it, then I can bring it into reality. Right. While the other one is just your thought process. Like, oh, I'm thinking about that. So I don't look. I guess you can somewhat have a relationship. I mean, they are a relationship.
Right.
But yeah, you're bringing me down rabbit holes of thought right now, which I love.
Yeah. That's where we got to go.
I know.
Alice in Wonderland here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but I think, okay, so let's just take blog world.
Right.
Right. We're in blog world, and we're telling you, yo, what's up, guys? Telling you about my day, or I'm telling you about this product, yada, 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 whatever. Okay. Beautiful, awesome. I love that stuff.
Right.
And I do want to know about it. But at the same time, I am now aware that most people that blog, this is not their life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But we're watching it with the concept of
Right.
like, this is really them.
Yeah.
And when you see them, you think you're friends with them because you watch them every day. And they're like, dude, I'm working.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. That's that weird blurred line that
Yeah.
is romanticism that we think is realistic.
Right. It's crazy because a lot of the people that create content that is supposed to be lifestyle content, when you live on that side of like knowing these creators, and then you live on the side of knowing people who work like 9-to-5 jobs, you realize that a lot of these creators are living like outside of real life because it's just such an uncommon way to live. Like that's like the 1%, like people who are doing well at it, like the 1%, but for them it's normal. And it's just like so different from the lifestyles of like the majority.
Right.
Yeah.
So the career, I think, of what we do at some point, it's going to take you down its own path that is not realistic to others,
Right.
I guess, but it's definitely going to take you down a path that is like individual to you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure when you look at your camera, like you have taken me so many places that people dream of doing when they're 60.
Yeah. My relationship with my camera is so interesting because I can be anywhere. I can be at an event, and if I'm like just chilling on my own, I'm like, wow, like I get tired like talking to people. But then when I'm at an event, I can be in the exact same places holding a camera, and I'm like, dude, this camera gives me purpose. Like I feel like I'm not alone because I have this camera in my hand.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I had a guy tell me, like, this is like way back in the day. This is when I was holding a camera like this, and he would always say, "What room does that get you in?"
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
and that has always stuck with me. If you hold a camera, you can get into any room you
Yeah.
want.
It's kind of powerful.
Yeah, it is sickening and scary, but at the same time, I completely take advantage of that.
It's like Thor's hammer.
Yeah, it's a network technique, but it's also man, it is the most dangerous tool I think on earth.
Yeah.
And now it's in our phones.
I know, but I feel not like most people don't know how to use it because it's kind of underrated still.
So what's your take on that?
What's my take on phones being so powerful?
Yeah.
Dude, I hate it, man.
Really? Yeah. Oh, what's your take on vertical versus?
Bro, I hate vertical because like we watch movies in horizontal. Our eyes are like next to each other and on top of each other. So I feel like naturally watching things in like widescreen makes more sense.
For sure.
Vertical is just because our phones are oriented that way. Our pockets, I guess, are oriented that way. So like technology wise, it makes sense. But I don't know, man. Like I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it limits us.
Dude, I'm on this mission. I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
I'm on this mission. I'm gonna show you the beginning.
What are your thoughts on it though?
I'm gonna show you right now.
Yeah.
Tori Kelly cut. I'm just gonna show you the beginning.
Is this a vertical music video?
No, watch
Okay.
what this director did. I forgot his name. I'll put it in the thing.
Site traffic is skyrocketing.
But watch what he does in the beginning.
Yeah. That's vertical.
He forced you to change it.
You know what though? That makes sense because if you're like on the ground and you fell, then you're like this.
Yeah, but think about how you would interact with your phone.
Right.
You would be watching it like this. And then as she turns it,
You turn with it. Yeah.
It's like a mission I have.
To do that to people?
It's just to create more concepts
Right.
that make people turn their phone.
So what's your thought on, like, you know, in Black Panther, for example, when they do the 360 spin?
Yeah.
But you're not going to be in the theater, like, turning all the way around and stuff, right?
Yeah, but 360 spin is an effect.
Right.
That's to
Unbearable.
make you feel queasy, to make you feel like something's wrong.
Yeah.
So it's a part of the storytelling
Right.
aspect of things. But it's not how we watch that movie.
Right.
We're going to watch that movie widescreen.
Right.
Right. But I guess the concept of switching content, if we're
Yeah.
watching it this way, yeah, of course, we're not going to be able to see things wide. But that's why stuff like that. It's like if I can get people to, like, my goal is to make people do this.
Yeah.
Because now, for me, you're experiencing video differently.
Right. It's more interactive.
Like if I can, that's I feel like that's a magician. Where if I
Right.
can get you to do what I want you to do,
Right.
oh my god.
But I feel like video is so powerful at doing that because you can influence people in specific ways. You can make them feel certain ways. Like, you can, like, create that effect on people, you know?
Right, and that's the beautiful danger that we're a part of too. Yeah. So while I think it lingers in the beginning of content creation,
Right.
like in its basic character of what video is, I think once you start diving in, and that's what I was saying, like I don't think you can always look at this as an athlete, right? Like that is not that concept is not a better video.
Right.
That concept is like, what if?
Right.
That's all that is. And that's what I mean. It's like when you can get people to think differently about what this art form is.
Right.
That's not an athletic approach. That is someone experiencing genius.
So my question now is, because that obviously is still like a horizontal video, right?
He forced you into horizontal video.
Right. Yeah. So if you're on your phone and you do a vertical that forces people into horizontal, because now we got to go into analytics of, like, is that more effective? Like, do people want to toast it, or are they just going to switch it, you think?
Yeah, that's where I go, like, close the laptop. That's what
Yeah.
because here's the problem with that conversation. For me,
Right.
I'm not saying that likes and shares are not important.
Right.
It's important for business.
Yes.
Not important to my soul.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yes.
It's like, so because I'm in marketing and commercial for so many years, I understand the value of what we do. Like, for example, like we were saying, Spider-Man was a Nike commercial.
Right.
It's a huge Nike commercial.
Right.
Soap operas were to sell soap.
Right.
So everything is to sell something. I'm very aware of that.
Yeah.
But if you create for the concept to make something, for the reaction,
Right.
for the analytics,
Yeah.
you're not creating it from a place of honesty.
I agree.
So that's where I just close the laptop and like at some point you have to say, I'm going to create because I want to create, not
Yeah.
because any algorithm tells me to. But in this generation, we also have to be aware of it, because then you can create something wonderful, and then if you're not aware of how people are interacting with it, they can never see it. For example, thumbnails.
Yeah.
You have a shitty thumbnail, someone's not going to click on it. If it's a black screen on your profile, no one's going to look at it.
Yeah.
So this is the awareness of how people are engaging into it.
Yeah.
But this video, like I showed you, is the same thing.
Right.
People will look at it and then they'll turn it.
Right.
And now you can re-engage people a different way.
Right. I mean, that's the worst thing to me about social media, is that it forces artists into a position where they have to create to hit some type of algorithm, because if you want your stuff to be seen, then you have to play this game. And I think as people who are naturally artists, they want to do things because they love it, and having to almost fit into this box to grow as a creative or grow as a business takes away from that passion of, like, what you're creating. And then,
Yeah, you're not wrong. But at the same time, it can also become a part of your art form.
right.
So, like, for example, one of the things that we do at South Rock down here is we work specifically with artists. I'm sorry,
Right.
with dancers.
Right.
We open it up to the public, but the idea of that is that this is our network of people that understand what it means to cipher, what it means to get down, what it means to have a conversation with somebody in freestyle spirit.
Right.
That's our language, right?
Right. Right.
But that's my creative choice to work with those people.
Right.
So in the same way, that also becomes a part of your creativity. So if you know a bunch of basketball players, and you want to make films about basketball, and this guy just has 20,000 followers over here,
Right.
but this guy's a really excellent actor, but he's got nobody. Ooh, maybe if I choose them in the same scene,
Right.
that is an artistic approach, but it's also a strategic approach.
Right.
That's just the game we're in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So every art is also a part of a business.
I agree.
So I think that's really important. I mean, I don't know if I want to go that route. Okay. So you could be a photographer.
Right.
You can plant plants.
Yeah.
And not give a shit about what anyone thinks and do a really great job. And someone will come over and be like, wow, this is really nice. This is great photos, right?
Right.
Like, you should post this. And that person could be like, no, I don't want to.
Right.
Doesn't take away that they're doing it for themselves as an artist to do the best they can.
Right.
And then there's people that solely do it for the concept of, I need to get paid for this.
Yeah.
And from my experience, what I've learned is like, the more that I lean into, let me do this to get paid, the less that I think about how I would want to do it. It's now at a decent balance for myself where I would say, this is how Brendan would think and do something.
Yeah.
But also, realistically, we need money to do this.
That's like the balance that we have to strike, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody needs money to live. And it's like, if you want to live doing your passion, you have to find a way to monetize that. And so there's always some level of like compromise with how you approach what it is that you're passionate about.
Right. I mean, let's go back to the other conversation.
Right.
Which is, it's important to know that I think that what we do is a part of a business, but what we do is not the business.
Right.
Like
that.
breaking is going to be in the Olympics.
Yes.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're like, I don't care.
Yeah, dude.
Because you're like, because I know that that's not what matters. What matters is the community ciphers. What matters is that there's something weekly going on to keep kids off the streets.
Right.
That's what matters. That's the culture. But we're also like, dude, we're in the fucking Olympics. Let's go.
Yeah.
But you're also like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, is that what we do is part of business.
Right.
But what you do is not the business. That's the best way, I think, that as someone that's coming from like urban culture, you have to look at it. Because what we do in dance, you don't have to tell me I need to get paid to go get down. You put on a James Brown track, I'm gonna throw down. And it's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna get down because that's who I am.
Exactly.
But if you feel that way about your art form, film, photography, acting,
Right.
you're ahead of most people. Why?
Right.
Because you don't need nobody to tell you when to do it.
Exactly.
You just do it because this is real to me.
Yeah.
So, and I've always said, for me moving into acting, if I can get to a place with acting that it feels an inch like it does with dancing, I'll be okay.
So you're not feeling that way with acting right now?
I'm almost there, but I mean, I'm not naive. I feel like I'm good,
Right.
but I also know, just like in breaking, I can come in for like 2 years and be nice, but
Right.
like there's nothing better than the feeling of like real confidence.
Right.
Where like I'm not confident because I think I'm nice. I'm confident because like, I've been doing this shit for like over a decade.
Yeah.
That's all I feel. I think I'm good at what I do in acting.
Right.
And I'm working to get better, but I know I'm not naive. I'm not the cocky kid that says, yeah, I'll smoke everybody. Maybe I'll approach it that way.
Yeah.
But I know instinctively, this is just, people aren't better than me. They're just more experienced.
Right.
And all I just need to do is just keep walking.
So when you say that, are you saying that like you want to get to where you're at with breaking and acting in a sense of expertise and how good you are, or how passionate you are about it?
Right. As a professional, yes.
Right.
But as a person, no.
Right.
When I'm thinking about dance, if you go to a Spanish person's house and they got salsa music, this is just who they are.
Right.
You don't have to pay them to dance.
Yeah, they just do that.
That's just who they are.
Right.
And that's how you are as a dancer, as a b-boy, right? If there's someone throwing down and you're at a club and they challenge you, oh, let's go, I'll throw down. No one has to pay you to do that.
Right.
And it feels good to do it.
Right.
It's just natural.
Right.
That's what I mean about acting. But most of the time, I think acting for myself has always been taught about, you got to book.
Right.
You got to get the gigs, you got to do this. But when you can turn the craft of acting to the same way that you feel about it in breaking, now I think we're talking about a completely different conversation.
So do you feel like feeling that way about any craft is something you always have to build, or do you think there are certain times where that's ingrained in who you are? Like acting is something that you have in your system, you're just waking it? Or do you think it's something that like you have to work at to get to that point of being like, now it's natural?
Wait, repeat that question because I'm going to check the cameras real quick.
Yeah.
Repeat that question.
So do you feel like with acting and dance, like dance is something for me at least that I feel like it's a natural part of who I am. And like naturally when I hear music, I just want to dance. But with acting, for example, you said you're not there yet in terms of like acting and dance don't match in like, you don't have that same confidence in it right now, right?
It's not to say that it's common. It's just that I just know what it is.
Right.
I know that I haven't been walking in those shoes for that long.
Right.
So I just know that if as long as I keep going, I'll get better.
Right.
That answer the question, or
Well, I'm saying like if something feels natural to you, do you think there are things that are just like naturally just ingrained in your system?
okay, yeah. All right, so I'll answer this and then we'll kind of go into closing.
Yeah.
What do you love about breaking?
Dude, I love that I'm able to communicate with people. I love the community aspect. I love that I can express myself through movement without speaking. I love that I can do it and like not have to be around people in a way where it's like I don't have to have a conversation with people for them to understand where I'm at.
Right.
Like I can just do it, express myself, not even care about anybody else knowing where I'm at. I can just put it there and be like, okay, like it's almost like I'm moving and I'm like getting it out of my system and like putting it there.
Right.
Yeah.
This is how I would explain what you just said. You love performance,
Right.
and you love communicating.
Right.
So if you love that at its core, that can exist in anything.
Right.
So that's what I mean as an artist.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just be in filmmaking.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just be, I mean, I'm part of Soul Shifters family, and the Shifters are free expressionists.
Right.
So they're excellent dancers, but they're also architects and
Right.
DJs and producers and artists and graffiti artists. I mean, it's wild, the amount of things, but they're also genuine people that care about the community too.
Right.
So when you're talking about your art form, I think that what's really important is that it's rooted in those words like communication and performance and telling a story and expressing yourself. That could be done in anything.
Right.
You just transfer the energy into another art form.
Right.
So for me, whether I like when I was pastoring, I would hold a microphone and I would tell the story, or I would try to inspire somebody with a microphone. But what I do on a microphone is no different than what I do making a video.
Right.
I just have a different skill set.
Right.
That's it. But like the heart of it, I'm just trying to tell you a story, trying to inspire you some sort of way.
Right.
So I don't think naturally being a dancer or naturally being anything, I don't want to say it has nothing to do, but for me, what it's become is the more that I tap into my love for communication.
Right. Right. I see where you're going with this.
Right.
Yeah.
That is all that I have to center myself on.
Yeah.
And for me, my choice of skill set is like the frame.
Right.
But that's a general statement
Yeah.
because now it can exist in many different forms.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So it's finding those anchoring aspects of what you love and finding it in different art forms or different like crafts, different like things.
Right. I sense this artistry, but then like once we get into like the abstract thought of that, it's also possible for you to completely leave that concept and discover a new idea of why you would want to express yourself, why you would want to tell a story.
Right.
You know? And that, what I do find fascinating about the profession that we're in is that can change from project to project, which
I agree.
is why I think I love the frame.
Yeah.
It could be about dance and it could not be about dance.
Right.
It could be about nature and it could also be about a product.
Yeah.
And I could choose to tell a story in various scenarios, however I see fit.
Yeah.
And that to me, that is a dangerous craft.
Right. I mean, going back to what we talked about with like having to do it for passion, having to do it for money kind of thing and like making a compromise. If money was not an object, what do you think you'd be doing? Like how would you spend your time?
If money wasn't a thing, how would I spend my time?
Like, what is that thing that you would do no matter what if like money didn't exist?
That's funny. I would travel the world with my kids.
Right.
And my wife.
Right.
I would just travel the world with my family. That's it.
That's it.
Because for me, one of my joys is being a father.
Right.
And I think that raising your kid to see the world is a lot more beneficial than raising them to just conquer their block.
Right.
Like to be the best in their school, to be the best in whatever community and friends that they're a part of. I think what's a lot more valuable and important is for them to see that this world is huge.
Yeah.
But also that them as an individual can make a huge impact as well.
That's so deep because it goes back to like how you're parented and stuff as well. Because I feel like I was parented to be like, yo, like if you're not the best, you're not good. Yeah. And I think that is something that I've tried to carry into like everything that I do. And if I'm not like, if I don't feel like I'm at the best or at least near the top, I feel like I'm not good enough and I have to keep working it as an athlete almost.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, there's nothing wrong with the athletic approach of, and being disciplined. But at some point, like you also have to know also in breaking, like, so you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can, I remember entering a battle and like we smoked these dudes. Went the next day to another battle in St. Pete and they destroyed us.
Right.
That's just how it is. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
You can't approach it. Like if that ever got to you, you'd be done breaking forever, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
But also, you also realize that's not why you did it in the first place.
Exactly.
Right. And that's like, I guess that tears on like the corny, do it for the love and not whatever. But
Yeah.
I do think that it's also important to know that you can't base this off of trying to be the best.
Right.
I don't think art should ever be that way.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, it's like a truth
Yeah.
that isn't real. It's just told to us that it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you could hit marks and be like the best Olympian and
Right.
you can be the best in this moment and,
Right.
and you can win.
Right.
But you also know like this world is full of many moments.
Yeah. See, it's funny because like I found that as I got better at doing things for the love instead of being the best, like when I started doing more video, I stepped away from the dance as much. And me doing that meant that I knew I wasn't going to be the best with that. But I got to a point where I was like, I'm okay if I'm not the best. I'm glad to be good enough that I can be respected. And then if I do it out of love, like for what is good for me mentally, then I'm happy with that. If I can still communicate, bro, I'm happy. And that's how it went.
I just redefined this for myself.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. So I redefined it because I think it's so important.
Yeah.
I don't dance as of now.
Yeah.
I'm choosing not to dance or even let myself progress.
Right.
I'm just choosing to dance because it is the healthiest relationship with my art
Right.
that I know. Right. When I say art, music.
Nice.
It's my relationship with music. So if I can always have a relationship with music,
Right.
I feel like I'll always be happy.
Love that.
But if I do it because I'm trying to win, if I do it because I'm trying to be creative and express, I'm trying to talk to the world,
Right.
I don't know. I don't have this like desire to want that anymore. Yeah, and I questioned it for like a couple of years. To be honest with you, and now it's just come to this place of like, no, I think I'm just gonna do this because I have a deep, genuine relationship with music.
Yeah.
But that also, I think what's important is like on that other layer, that next layer, is that when you look into like the realm of music, right? And we're talking about a lot of different things now. We're talking about culture. We're talking about history. We're talking about time.
Yeah.
Like when the song came out, why was it significant at the time they came out? I mean,
Right.
we're talking about the study of art history through the lens of music.
Yeah.
But I'm experiencing it through dance.
Right.
So, I mean, I can go down a rabbit hole, but I'll keep it simple. When I listen to jazz,
Okay.
jazz to me is, and probably someone can explain this a lot better than I can. But jazz to me is essentially people with the rhythm and feeling of the jungle, right? That were given modern day instruments.
Nice.
So for me,
Right.
that translates. If I can have a certain relationship with jazz, I can feel how I feel like I can feel how these people felt.
Right.
I mean, not in the idea of what was going on during the times, but in a creative process,
Right.
which is this, I have a feeling and I can put it through this instrument. But remember, these instruments that they were playing with, like it took precision and time, right?
Yeah.
So there was a balance, I think, of training, learning your craft as far as like the scales and understanding theory, but then also a feeling.
Yeah.
And just knowing that feeling. And that's what I feel like jazz is. And jazz then created a bunch of other things. Right. That's kind of where we fall into as B-boys. Right. That's kind of like our family tree.
Yeah.
But when I listen to jazz, and the more I do, so you get like artists like, how do you say his name? Masego, M-A-S-E-G-O. I'm the worst.
I think it's Masego.
Yeah, him. And then FKJ, like you listen to him and you're like, yo, this is hip hop. And you're like, no, this is different. You listen to Jungle now. I mean, that's all like funk in modern times for the most part, but it's a new, but it's been done.
Right.
But again, you're listening to it to this lens of like, oh, this is pure feeling happening in modern times.
Right.
And for me, if I can always have that relationship through the concept of dance,
Yeah.
it will always translate into my work.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah, that's deep, dude.
So that's why what I realized is that my work will, not that it'll be better, it will be more, I'll enjoy it more if I just keep dancing. But not dancing to be creative and not dancing to be good. Yeah, just to keep my relationship with music.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I haven't danced in a while, but I don't feel like I need to keep dancing to keep that relationship with like my work when it comes to video.
Well, this is just individual creative process.
That's cool. Yeah.
So, like, for example, if for Dance for You, okay, what would be the initial? How do I put this? Okay, when you were coming up with breaking,
Right.
were you in the era where like a DJ Fleg era? Where okay, well, that helps me make sense of it. So again, it's like a relationship with music. Now I understand that where the cultures that we're a part of times are different.
Right.
So I was coming up to like James Brown. I was listening to Curtis Mayfield.
Right.
Organ Donor. You know, so these this is like underground tracks.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think that's important to say because that is stuff that at one point was radio.
Right.
You know what I mean? What we're listening to in culture today is underground,
Right.
but it hasn't transcended past into like a culture that's, you know what I mean? Like that we're listening, and I'm probably not fully right in saying this,
Right.
but I do think that your relationship with music and my relationship with music is different, not because one's better, but because we're behind.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right. You grew up with different influences kind of thing.
Right. So I grew up with the influence of music being a cultural thing.
Right.
And while it is cultural for you in that it's different in the times of how it was expressed. Because I remember breaks was a part of like disco records.
Right. Right.
It was like people would wait for the break of the record. And it's cool. You could see the break. You could see the physical break in a record. Like if you ever look at it, you can see it, and you're like, oh shit, that's what I'm a part of right there. Is like there's a break in the record, and that's when the instruments drop out, and it's just the beat.
Yeah.
Right. And like, damn, that's that little line. That's what I'm a part of.
Yeah. That's cool shit. See, like around my time, I didn't look at vinyls very often.
Right, and that's a big thing. I was at the end of vinyls.
Right.
Because when I started DJing with CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now during pandemic, the only thing that was open was vinyl stores. So my wife and I with Bodie would go to different record places because that was the only thing open, and we would just buy cheap vinyls, and then we got a record player because Jansen found one in the garbage. That's sick. And then it was sick. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
And he washed it off and cleaned it, and that's what it is. But that's for me building a different relationship with music, and it becomes physical now. Mm-hmm. It's not just streaming services.
Right. You can see how the sound is being made through like the mechanism of the record.
But I think for anybody, that journey is important. Right. But it's also not essential.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Shapes people though.
Yeah, for sure. I think the more that you dive into any craft, you're going to want to know, like, how did people do this before?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I thought about, so, you know, we're talking about, like, technology.
Right.
Social media, this and yada, yada, and whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to know that, like, filmmaking is at the forefront of technology all the time.
Yeah.
So you look like the Rocky film, you know?
Right.
And that was, like, one of the first times we saw a Steadicam shot.
Yeah.
That's the like the beginning. I mean, not the beginning. I think The Shining was the first time that we ever saw the Steadicam.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, people didn't know it as far as like audience, but like as far as our culture, filmmakers were
right.
Like, hey, do you see how smooth that shot was? All from the bottom all the way to the top.
Yeah.
That is revolutionary. Right. Changes how we can tell stories, but not just how we tell stories, but also it also changes the technology that we have access to. So at the end of the day, as much as I can hate on social media, AI, and all this, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And with that, I will say, how do you feel about AI?
Oh, dude.
In our field.
You want to end with that. Dude, AI is really interesting because I feel like it's natural for a lot of people to hate on it because it can do so much and it can remove people from parts of the process. But I feel like the most experienced people are going to be the ones that like evolve with AI and use it as a way to enhance their workflow rather than let it replace them. Like I haven't begun to use it to like complement my workflow yet, but I can see so many implications in it in terms of what we do. Like, for example, Premiere, I think, has a beta version where you can take like a video like this and you can just type based on like the dialogue that was said and it will cut it for you automatically, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So stuff like that, I think it's a great supplement. I think it's still pretty new, but I think that there's going to be some crazy implementations of like what it can do for us.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting couple of years.
Yeah.
Because we're not moving in decades anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have like the 90s, or the 80s, the 90s.
I know.
We have like every 3 years, shit's changing so fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting. I look at it as inevitable, right? I think what people are missing, in my opinion, is that we humans are using AI.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So therefore, it becomes a little bit of an amoral thing.
Yeah.
I do think that AI, yes, at some point it's going to have its evolution where it's going to go beyond what we ever, or exactly what we imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I also think it's important at this stage, it's still amoral, like Facebook or social media.
Yeah.
You can either build a house with this brick or you can throw the brick through the window.
Right.
It's up to you. It's human.
Yeah.
So for us, it's up to us on how we use it. And I think that I agree. That essentially is what people are missing in the conversation.
Right.
Is not so much of like, oh, AI is good or bad. It's no, the human condition has to first be addressed.
Right.
How we're interacting with these new pieces of technology.
Right.
And as we change and grow and progress, then we have a different relationship with it. But if we're still shitty people using technology, yeah, technology is going to be shitty.
Yeah.
At any point. So I think it's just important in our field, in our field, I guess you could say, to always look at technology like that. It's always going to be something that is amoral at some point. It's just up to us how to use it.
Yeah. I agree. I like that.
Good stuff, man. Thank you, dude. Cheers, even though
I just finished my tea. We're good.
good way to end it.
Yes, sir.
Good work.
Appreciate you, bro.
And done.
Woot, woot.